This isn't just a battle, it's the genesis of an idea. Freedom versus empire. And the world watched, terrified. Imagine you are standing on the edge of the known world. Before you, an empire so vast it defies imagination, stretching from the Indus River to the shores of Libya. Its ruler, Xerxes, the king of kings, is not just a man, he is a god on earth to his millions of subjects. And he is angry. 10 years ago, his father's pride was shattered at Marathon by a handful of Athenian upstarts. Now, Xerxes has gathered the largest invasion force in human history. His goal is not just conquest, but annihilation. To burn the very idea of freedom from the memory of man. He carved a canal through a mountain for his fleet of over 1,000 ships. He built bridges of boats across the sea for his armies. For the Greeks, it was not a question of if he would come, but when. And how could so few possibly stand against so many? Imagine an army so vast, its shadow alone could blot out the sun. This wasn't hyperbole. This was Xerxes. Picture it, a human tide pulled from every corner of the Persian Empire, a force so large it was said to drink rivers dry. You aren't just looking at Persians and Medes. You see Scythian horsemen, Indian archers, Ethiopians in leopard skins, a living encyclopedia of conquered peoples. The number, according to the chroniclers of the time, approached 2 million souls. To move this mass from Asia into Europe, Xerxes commanded the sea itself, lashing ships into a pontoon bridge across the Hellespont. This wasn't merely an invasion, it was a god-king bending the very rules of nature to erase a people from history. This force was considered an act of God, an inevitability, and it was marching directly for you. History's greatest numerical disparity met its match in a single, unyielding bottleneck. This is why. Imagine you're a Greek commander.
It's the only way through.
You see the reports.
Yes.
A Persian host
We
so
maximize our
vast,
advantage
it drinks entire rivers
This
dry.
is the only way through.
An army of nearly 1 million men marching to extinguish
This
your world.
is where we make our stand.
You cannot fight them in the open. So you change the rules of the war itself. The Hellenic League didn't search for a battlefield,
the
they
past
searched
will be
for a
ours.
choke point. A place where numbers
Hold the
become
line, brothers.
meaningless.
For Sparta!
They found it. A sliver of land, barely 15 meters wide, pinned between impassable mountain cliffs and the sea. They called it Thermopylae. The hot gates here, a legion is no more effective than a platoon. It was a masterstroke of geography as weapon, designed to bleed the Persian war machine one soldier at a time. It was the perfect trap, assuming no one knew a way around it. They knew they would die. Every last one. Yet, they marched. What profound, terrifying truth did they grasp that we've forgotten? Imagine a king, forged in a crucible of state-sponsored brutality. Leonidas of Sparta. He wasn't just a ruler, he was the ultimate product of the agoge, a system designed to break boys and remake them as warriors. At his side, his personal guard. 300 men. Not just any soldiers, these were the hippies, the elite of the elite. Each one a father, chosen specifically so their family line would not perish with them on the battlefield. This was not a suicide mission born of desperation. It was a calculated, chilling statement. A human wall against a tidal wave of tyranny, a living embodiment of defiance. They stood as the vanguard, a shield for all of Greece. But this shield, you see, was designed from the very beginning, to break. They brought their immortals, their finest, and the Spartans just laughed. Not exactly, but they might as well have. For 2 full days, you have to picture the scene. Xerxes, the god king, watches from his throne as his massive army breaks against a tiny wall of bronze and muscle. He sends the Medes first. They fall. He sends his best troops from Susa. They shatter. Finally, enraged, he unleashes his elite, the 10,000 Immortals. They were the best of the best, trained from birth for war. And they were cut down just like the rest. The Greek phalanx held. A wall of shields, a forest of spears, an engine of death in a pass barely 50 feet wide. The Spartans even feigned retreats, drawing the Persians into the trap, only to turn and slaughter them in the bottleneck. The wall of men seemed unbreakable. But every wall has a secret path. Forget the 300. The real story of Thermopylae is about the traitor who opened the back door to hell. For 2 days, Xerxes' godlike army had been shattered against a wall of Spartan bronze. The pass was a meat grinder. The invasion, a stalemate. Then, a man steps from the shadows. His name is Ephialtes, a local Greek. He knows the mountains like the back of his hand, and he knows a secret. A hidden path, a goat track called the Anapaea, that wins behind the Greek position. Imagine him, standing before the Persian king, trading the freedom of his entire world for a pocketful of gold and a promise of power. He does not just offer information, he offers to guide them himself. As Xerxes' elite immortals begin their silent march into the mountains, Leonidas has no idea that the real threat is not in front of him. It is already behind him. The trap was sprung. The ultimate pattern interrupt, a king, betrayed, staring down annihilation, choosing not to flee, but to die louder than any retreat. The stakes could not be higher. Imagine the moment the news arrives. A local has shown the Persians a secret mountain path. Your entire strategy, your entire world, has just collapsed. You are surrounded. Annihilation is not a possibility, it is a certainty. For King Leonidas, the choice was never about survival. He dismisses the bulk of the Greek army, sending thousands of men home to fight another day, to carry the story of what was about to happen. But he stays. He and his 300 Spartans, refusing to yield an inch. They are not alone. 700 Thespians make the same grim choice, standing shoulder to shoulder, staring into the face of the world's largest army. This was not a retreat. This was a calculated sacrifice, a message written in blood, designed to echo through eternity. They chose to die so that an idea could live. The odds were infinite. The outcome preordained.
Hold the line, brothers.
Yet, their
For
defeat
Sparta.
ignited the fire that saved Western civilization at Salamis. You have to understand the strategy. A narrow pass, the hot gates, 300 Spartans, with a few thousand allies, facing an empire. They were never meant to win. They were there to die. A holding action, a calculated blood sacrifice to buy precious days. But for what? While they held, the Greek fleet was repositioning, the Athenian populace evacuating. The Spartans were a living shield, their bodies the price for time. When the traitor Ephialtes revealed the hidden path, their destruction was certain. But their story, their sacrifice, became a weapon. It was a legend forged in blood, a rallying cry that united a fractured Greece and turned a military disaster into the moral fuel for an impossible victory. Thermopylae isn't just history. It's the bedrock of everything you believe in. Imagine a world where your every thought is dictated by a distant god king, where freedom is a forgotten dream. This was the world Xerxes offered. And against his endless ocean of soldiers, a few thousand Greeks chose to stand in a narrow pass. Led by 300 Spartans, they made a decision that defied all logic. It was never about winning the battle itself. It was about something far more profound. They weren't fighting for territory, they were fighting to send a message across millennia. A message that a free person, standing in defense of their home, is the most powerful force in the universe. This stand became the foundational myth of the West, the ultimate story of sacrifice against tyranny. But what most people forget is the precise, calculated reason why they chose that specific, tiny strip of land to die on.